Hello, my name's Sarah. I am just about to start my third year in Ancient History and Archaeology here at Newcastle, and today I am going to be telling you a few essential things that you should pack if you want to study this degree. So the first thing you will need is an archaeological trowel. It looks a bit like this, and it is essential if you are going to be studying an archaeology-based degree. If you are studying an archaeology-based degree here at Newcastle, you will be doing fieldwork in the summers between years. An archaeological trowel is the type of equipment that you need for an excavation. It is essential for you to own, and if you want to go into archaeology in the future, it is important that you have one of these tools. The second item you will need is an archaeological passport. So you can get one of these by joining the Chartered Institute for Archaeologists, which I would highly recommend as it gives you a lot of networking opportunities and volunteering opportunities. Or if you don't want to do that, you will get one on your first set of fieldwork. One of the lecturers will supply you with one. It is essentially a logbook, so you will track every bit of experience you get, every find you get, what sort of things you learn on the dig, and the head of that excavation will sign it off to say that you've done it, and then you can take it if you are doing a job interview or something like that, and it just proves that you know what you're talking about and you've had the experience. So very useful thing to have and pretty essential. The third thing you will need is steel toe cap boots. When you're digging on excavations, it's highly likely you will be handling heavy stones and masonry at some point. Obviously, you do not want a broken toe on an excavation. That is probably the worst thing that could happen. On most digs, steel toe cap boots are required, so it is quite an essential thing to have for the future. The next item I would recommend you pack is some fancy dress outfits. So the Archaeology Society, or ARCSOC, hosts a lot of different events throughout the year. I'd really recommend it, it's dead fun. And a few of these events are fancy dress events. So packing a couple of fancy dress outfits, you won't go wrong with doing that. The next thing I recommend you pack is a USB stick. Backing up your university work is probably one of the most essential things you can do. Losing a project or some coursework, especially when you're nearly finished, is everyone's worst nightmare, and no one wants to deal with that, so I'd highly recommend backing up your work on a USB stick. It also means that if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, you can still access your work, which is very useful as well. The final thing I'd recommend is a bicycle. It's not particularly essential, but it's an easy way to get around, it's better for the environment, and because Newcastle is quite a small city, it's pretty easy to get around all the places, especially on campus. There's loads of bike locks and bike stands all throughout the city and on campus as well, so you wouldn't need to worry about just leaving your bike anywhere as well. So I hope this gave you some insight into what to bring if you want to study ancient history and archaeology at Newcastle. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. Bye!